I went to jail, y'all.
What? So like, okay.
And not regular jail. I went to prison. So, hi everybody and welcome to my channel. I am here today with Mila, the housekeeper, who is one of my good friends from Texas. She owns a 6-figure Airbnb cleaning company. Now Mila and I actually met on the audio app Clubhouse, and we formed a bond right away, and ever since we have been meeting up and really just being really good friends.
Yeah,
and learning a lot about
best
business.
buds now. We're sisters now.
And learning a lot about business. So I'm very excited. She's going to be doing an in-depth interview of a little bit of my backstory and how I came to be a cleaning business owner.
We actually both do 6 figures in the cleaning business. I do Airbnb. Carolyn does residential and commercial, and she's killing it in residential and commercial. And we kind of formed a bond because honestly, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not easy to get to 6 figures in any business. And obviously, like, we don't come from wealthy families, so it was a really big shock to meet like another regular girl that was able to get her business to a 6-figure business.
Growing up, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, which is not one of the best neighborhoods around. It's like the car theft capital of the world.
Oh, car theft?
Car theft,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So it's real ghetto, but I was, unfortunately, I was a product of my environment for a very long time. So ever since I was small, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know doing what, and that was because when I was a young child, my parents actually started their own trucking business out of the basement of our apartment, or the apartment building we lived in. So they had like a little office set up, and I'd go in there and I would like pretend to be doing stuff like writing on the whiteboard, stapling, I don't know, like the post-it notes. So I grew up around seeing them do stuff like in an office setting, so I knew I wanted to like actually work in an office setting. At first I thought I wanted to be a teacher because, and this is so lazy, I wanted to be a teacher because they had the weekends off.
Oh my God.
And the summers off. I had no interest in children. I didn't like kids. I just liked the work schedule. So for a while I thought I wanted to be a teacher, although I kind of had a sense that I wanted to run my own business. So I actually started to go to college to be a teacher. I think I had completed 2 full semesters, and then I got arrested. Yes, I went to jail, y'all.
What? So like, okay.
And not regular jail. I went to prison. So that kind of ruined my path. And it wasn't even like a huge dream, but that ruined my path of becoming a teacher. So yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah, so okay, you're
It's
going
a
to
lot.
school and then you got yourself into prison. How many months? How many years?
I did 1.5 years in
snap.
state prison. Yes, in New Jersey. State
In New
prison.
Jersey,
In New
bro.
Jersey. It
The
was
toughest
ghetto.
of the tough. Okay, so let's talk about how you got yourself into prison.
So I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. As you can imagine, I grew up around a lot of hustlers, a lot of drug dealers. I also started bartending at a very young age of 18. So like my 18th birthday, I actually ended up getting a bartending job at a strip club.
Okay.
So from bartending at these strip clubs, the kind of men I was attracting, as you can imagine, weren't the highest quality. But that's all I ever knew. And I was dating some of these guys, and
Who were into selling.
drugs, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they made a lot of money. These guys were doing very well for themselves. I ended up dating my daughter's father, I think back in like 2008 or something like that. And he was a drug dealer. So he sold cocaine for a living. Long story short, so we dated very briefly, actually. It was maybe like 90 full days. I remember it being like a summer, right? So we were dating for the summer at the time. And one day I remember, again, I wasn't very serious with him. We were at a hotel down the shore somewhere or something like that, during the summertime. We had just got back from like the beach, and he told me he was gonna go serve somebody some drugs and that he'd be right back. So he had 2 phones, and so he stepped out of the hotel room to go see someone, and he never came back. So he went to go see one of his clients to serve him some drugs. Ended up getting like busted for it. I suppose maybe the cops saw it. I don't really remember if he was set up, but he ends up getting arrested, calls me from the back of the cop car and tells me this is maybe like 45 minutes that he's gone, and I knew something was like up.
Yeah.
But he tells me, hey, I'm in the back of the cop car. I got busted. So he, like I mentioned, he had 2 phones. So when he got arrested, he didn't bring all his drugs with him. He had them in like a book bag. So he ended up leaving his main phone, which was the phone that his clients called, and he left the main phone in the hotel room along with 10 grams of cocaine, a scale, and some Ziploc baggies. So that's really where it started. The phone, continued to ring. I continued to answer it, see these people, provide them with the service of delivering them their drugs. And right away, the response that I got from his clients was like phenomenal. They were so happy to be dealing with me. Needless to say, he must have been treating these people like straight assholes, like disrespectful, talking to them nasty, treating them like dirt, when really they were like his bread and butter.
Yeah.
I come from a customer service background, so I knew the importance of having a connection with these people.
Yeah.
So thankfully they had already seen my face, because I don't think they would have just let anybody into their house.
Right.
But I formed that connection with them, and right away I got a very good response from his old clients. So he does his 10 months. In that 10-month span, I'm able to increase revenue by like probably double of what he was doing. And again, I had a different work ethic than he did. I'm an early riser. I got up early. I drove to people, which is something he wouldn't do. I would drive to people. I would give better deals. And I was just all around like a much nicer person to deal with. I just want to say I'm not glamorizing selling drugs by any means or doing anything illegal. There are obviously different avenues that you can take. But also those avenues aren't presented to each and every one of us, at those low points in our life. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't know any business owners. I didn't have anybody telling me what direction to take. I have always been on my own, like since I was a baby. I have pretty much been on my own and had to figure out, what to do in life. For a solid 2 years, I was able to do this, and then that's when all the drama hits. So I got arrested twice. I got arrested in January of, I think, 2009. And then I got busted again in June of the same year. So 6 months apart.
For the same thing?
For the same thing.
Okay.
So the reason why I got busted, the reason why there was an investigation to even begin with, was because my daughter's father, the one who had came out of jail, and it didn't work out very well. I ended up kicking him out of my house in like 60 days because he just wasn't, I didn't love him. He wasn't going to change his way of life, and just wasn't for me. So when I kicked him out, not only was he upset that, I didn't want to be with him, but I already had his clientele. He wasn't making the kind of money he used to make. And I guess he must have gotten busted trying to sell drugs. And since he had just came out, he decided to throw me under the bus.
Snitch.
Yeah, he snitched on me, told on me. He gave the cops my information, told them where I lived, told them, what kind of business I was into. And he did that all to save his ass, even knowing that I had a baby with him, like a 3-month-old at the time.
These hoes ain't loyal.
No, absolutely not. He straight up told on me. But yeah, so they thought I was like some huge
queen
pin of fucking the neighborhood I lived in New Jersey, and they were very upset that someone went on camera and took the blame from me. So my dumb ass, because I was not smart at the time, continued on with my business per usual. I felt like I had gotten a get out of jail free card, I suppose, and continued on doing my business. I get busted again. for a second time. Another completely separate.
Did you go to jail the first time?
Yes, so I went to
Alright.
county jail. So they took me to county jail. I ended up spending maybe like less than a week there. I posted bail. So I posted bail. It was like $10,000. Like my grandmother, I think, had helped me at that time. And so I come out. Now I'm on bail. So prior to that 1.5 year sentencing, I tried to coordinate my life as much as possible. So I kept pushing that court date to get things in order. So like I was figuring out my situation with my kids. I was figuring out the situation, like my money and just all this stuff. So I go into prison. I have a full 18 months that I have to serve. It's mandatory before I can even see parole. So I'm not even allowed to see parole until I do my 1.5 years. And that was the best deal that they gave me with both of my concurrent cases running. So it was like, they gave me like, it was some ridiculous thing. But I ended up doing my 18 months in there. So what I did with my 18 months in prison was, again, I soaked up as much knowledge as I possibly could.
What made you want to do that instead of like figuring out how to get back into it and like?
So like what I did was, number one, I knew I was wasting a lot of time. So in there, I knew that once I came out, I was gonna finish my degree, right? So while I was in there, my mom was sending me my transcript. I was now focusing on a different career path. I'm like, let me see what credits I can use from my teaching that can be applied to business, right? Business was my only option now, because now I can only move forward as being my own boss.
Yeah, because once you get out, you can't just go and get a job.
No, it's very hard to get a job with a record. And so I decided I'm gonna go to school for business, as I should have probably from the beginning. I just didn't know any better. But I knew I had that flame of entrepreneurship because I liked selling, I liked having clients, I liked making people happy, and I liked making money in the process. So the credits that I could use from my teaching, which luckily was a lot of them because it was like a lot of the basic stuff like English, math,
history.
Right. I was able to take a lot of those credits. I only lost a couple and apply it to business. So my mom sent me the curriculum and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to get them on this date and I can start class this date and it's going to take me X amount of time to get my business degree. So in that aspect, I kind of like was planning a little bit. But even after that was done, I was still left with so much freaking time on my hands. Right. I'm not even going to say here and say that I got fit during that time because I didn't. I actually gained a lot of weight in prison from eating all the junk food and making meals. We can do a different video on that. But we ain't going to get into that right now. But I ended up gaining a lot of weight. So it wasn't like I was in there and I came out super ripped. Yeah. But what I did was, it was like a life learning experience. I got to know everybody. So I made friends with the Spanish girls, the black girls, the mentally ill girls, the white girls that, you know, were maybe known as like drug addicts and stuff like that. But it was almost like an 18-month, like, I don't want to say like experiment for me, but like, so maybe it was a social experiment. Yeah. Because I got to know, I was asking everybody, why are you here? Like, what brought you here? Because I know how I got there, right? But it was like, how did you get here? How did you become to be in prison? I am completely honored to have you interview me, and I'm so glad that we were able to form this bond so that I can not only share my story with you, but to the rest of the cleaning community and anyone who has been in any type of situation where I'm in, regardless of what your background is, being an ex-convict, being an ex-juvie, whatever it might be, just tell you that your life is in your own hands, your destiny is in your own hands, and yes, we are allowed to fuck up, we're allowed to make mistakes, we're allowed to go to jail, do whatever, you know, stuff that might happen, but still be able to take that and become our own bosses. Really.
I love that. Because in whatever situation, it doesn't mean that all of us couldn't be in those bad situations. Mm-hmm. You know, we all are trying. Well, I can't say all of us, but you know, we're trying, and you can see that. You can see that in a person. I would never judge you immediately, but I understand your position too, like why you wouldn't say it up front. I mean, you don't know how people are going to judge you.
Right.
And people are judgmental as.
I'm dealing with a bunch of entrepreneurs, right? Like, you don't know anybody's background. I'm just assuming that everyone's been in business, everyone's at college, everyone came from a good family. And that's not the case, you guys. We are perfectly imperfect, every single one of us.
And that's beautiful.
We have our traumas.
Yeah.
We have our childhood traumas, our adult traumas. We have our, you know, situations in life that we may not be proud of, things that we did that we may not be proud of, things that we still might be doing that we're not proud of. But we are both here to tell you that no matter what it is that you're going through, you can succeed. You just need the freaking drive.
It just has to be here. That's it.
And you have to apply your talents in the right, like, in the right places. Like, I always, like, look, I knew I was good at what I was doing, right? I was good at selling drugs.
Yeah, you were good at business.
I was good at business, but no one ever gave me the opportunity to even talk about business. The business that I was able to talk about was, you know, ass shaking and selling drugs. That's all I ever knew. So it was like, I had to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you so much for... Mila has actually been here on vacation, and this actually couldn't have been like the best time to film this interview because we talked about it a few times doing it over Zoom. But I want to say thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being patient with me.
There's no patience necessary.
And thank you for accepting me like as I am.
I love you. I love you.
Cry.
I know. I want to cry too.
No, thank you.
I don't want to cry though.
Like, they're so judgy. Like, nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody understands. Like,
and even like Mila's story, and we're gonna do a whole video on that because everybody goes through their own struggles, right? You might not relate to me. You maybe didn't have to deal with the stuff that I was dealing with. You might relate more to Mila. She has also been through her own struggles and her own battles, and she's freaking killing it. And
but I'm not as great as her to talk about it.
We're gonna get there. But we just want to let you guys know that no matter what the situation is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've been through, you know, you can make it. You can make the 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures,
and be a regular girl.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
be
right.
Regular. You don't have to be You don't have to be from Yale. You don't have to
have
a supportive family.
Or from Duke.
Right, Duke.
That's a dig, okay? I hope you see me watching.
From Duke, okay? You don't have to be from some prestigious family or background or college.
And I'm telling you, I'm making more money than
that guy from another person from Duke.
And that person from Duke telling me how to run my business. That's another story. That's another podcast for
another time.
Yeah.
But I just want to say thank you guys for joining us both on our channel, because we will be sharing this on both of ours. And just keep going, keep pushing. It might only feel like you only have 1 or 2 customers right now. There are going to be really bad times in your business where, you know, things are going great and they're not going so great. You gotta keep pushing.
That's right.
Just keep going.
Can't stop, won't stop.